Yeah, that's right. Welcome to the BKBK podcast. We are back. I'm your host, Brandon Phillips, and I'm here with my fellow co-hosts, Kerry Taylor,
That's a lot of S's.
Brian Taylor, and unfortunately, Captain Kyle McKenna can't make it with us today. But as usual, when one of us are gone, we always cover for one another. He's here in spirit, all right?
Yep.
So here we go, all righty. So listen, no big words, right, Kyle? You know what I'm saying? We're just going to get right to it. We have a lot to talk about. Since our last broadcast, the trade deadline is come and gone. Today's game, Dolphins versus the Jets in Miami. Injuries, coaching, and then our game last week against the Jaguars. So, you know what? Let's just dive in. But when we dive in, let's talk about the most recent news first, which is going to be the Jets versus the Dolphins, and that game literally just ended maybe about 15, 20 minutes ago. So what do we get out of this game? And I'm going to Kerry because look at this face Kerry's making. What does that mean, Kerry?
So you said this game just ended, so did our season. Pew!
Pew. There's nothing faster than a pew.
Oh, my gosh. That was a bunch of crap. I don't know what I saw on that television.
Malarkey.
I mean, again, we start a game. We're getting our hopes up.
Did you have your hopes up, bro? I'm
have
trying
my
to make
hopes
sure.
up. I
Did
mean,
you? About what?
we started off with
Talk to
a touchdown drive. Started the game off with a touchdown drive. The second game we started off with in as many tries with a touchdown drive. And prior to that, we went 30 games without having a touchdown drive as our first possession.
I think we achieved that against the Jaguars too. So it's been 2 games in a row.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
That's occurred. But prior to the Jaguar game, it was like 30 games in a row where we didn't have a touchdown drive with our first touch.
Yeah.
So your hopes are high. Darnold looked good in terms of finding the receivers, in terms of finding his favorite receiver. What's his name?
Crowder.
Yep.
Had a big game.
Chowder Crowder.
had a very big game. And then the wheels fell
We
off.
disappeared.
The defense just didn't show up. I mean, they're on the side of a milk carton right now. And it looked like the first touchdown that Miami scored was by the mistake of our Pro Bowl All-Pro safety. So
let's not get on his case, though.
Let's get on his case. I mean, he's on the field. You got to give him his case a little bit.
You know, I get what you're saying, but
he's a little sensitive. He's
very
sensitive like you
right
now.
Very sensitive.
Let's not talk about him.
Right.
Let's not talk about our safety.
We're talking about everybody else. We're not going to talk about him.
Well, I should have prefaced it by saying
Yes.
let's not talk so negatively about him because what he brings to our squad is way bigger than some of his follies.
Oh, I love him.
You know, I absolutely love the kid.
I love him.
And he's
when
basically
you're wrong.
No, well, wrong in what sense?
When you compare yourself to
Tom
Aaron
Brady
Donald
and
Tom Brady.
Sure.
Well, he's not saying he's as good as them, but he's
He kind of is.
No,
Kinda
stand
is.
by. Let me finish what I'm saying.
No.
Okay.
Yes. All right. He's projecting himself because he knows he's a phenomenal player. He's projecting himself and he's holding himself to that standard so that he can reach that.
But listen,
and then afterwards,
Okay.
he even said, "I'm not saying that I'm Tom Brady. I'm not saying that I'm blah blah blah. But I look at myself in a high standard because he expects himself to perform high, and that's the reason why he's a Pro Bowl talent because." He is expecting himself to perform day in and day out at that level, and that's how high he holds himself.
So listen, in 10 years from now, then have that type of attitude when you've already been to 10 straight Pro Bowls and have done all the work. But at this point in time, you can't have that type of attitude and expect that people aren't going to shop you around, or not even shop, but listen. If people are coming out here and saying, you know what, listen. Prior to today's game, I was like, you know what. We should hold on to Robbie Anderson. We should hold on to Le'Veon Bell. We should hold on to Adams. After today's game, I'm like, why do we hold on to those dudes? At this point in time, if this was going to be, at the end of the day, the result, I mean, we lost to what we and the NFL will perceive to be the worst team in the NFL.
And not only that,
and it wasn't
they're
close.
Trying to lose,
Right?
They are making a strong case
Effort
of why
to
we
lose games.
should lose.
Right? They already got rid of their best players. At the end of the day, their best players aren't on the field. Right?
Yep.
Fitzpatrick is over here in Minka Fitzpatrick is over here in Pittsburgh, scoring touchdowns.
Yep.
Like every game now. Now that he's gone. Right? So we're going in there saying we're going to hold on to our best players. We're going to go in there. We're going to act like we want to win games. And what is the result? I forgot what the net win-loss and as far as how many points scored them versus us. But whatever it was, we were never in the game.
No.
Right.
After that first touchdown we scored on offense, we were really never in the game.
Here's my point. I look at Jamal as being the identity of our team. There's no C.J. Mosley. We're waiting on Q Williams to
develop. He had his first sack, full sack today.
Yep. So he's got a sack and a half on the season.
But he was wide open. I mean, it was a blown assignment, and he ended up getting there. But you give him credit.
Make the play.
Yeah.
And we've seen too many unmaking plays. So good job by you.
Is that a word? Unmaking?
No, I just made it up. It's all good.
Is it like making Georgia?
That's MACON. Love it. I love it. No, but listen. The reason why I'm saying it is because, yes, I understand that. First of all, we were the ones getting the calls. It's not like we called out and we were like, "Hey, we're shopping Jamal Adams." That didn't happen. So yes, but here's the thing. I was listening to an interview on the way up here to the studio today.
Okay.
And he was basically saying that he's past it. He's over it. The guy that was interviewing him, it might have been Bob Wischusen or Marty Lyons. He was like, you sound a little different after this loss today. What's going on with you? And then Jamal Adams is like, why? Is it because I'm calm? And then he was like, oh, maybe it's because you're calm. And he was like, you know what? I don't want to make this about me. I'm a team player. I want to make this about us and only us in this room here, our team, our organization, and our fellow players. And he was deferring and trying not to make this whole experience of the loss, the whole experience of the trade, because initially he reacted emotionally.
Sure.
Okay. So but then he had the wherewithal to be like, all righty, I'm a part of a team, and I'm proud of him for doing that. I'm proud of him for doing that, and plus he's a stellar player, and he's the best player on our team. He's better than Sam Darnold right now. He is the identity of what we would try to consider to be a tough defense, kind of somewhat, even though we didn't play that tough today.
Not at all.
But, that's why I'm just like, take it easy on the kid. He's learning lessons here, and he's a willful learner. He really is trying to learn, because earlier in the week he's talking this way, and then today he's like calm. He's being wise with his words, and I'm like, all right, this young kid, this young fella, he's kind of learning over here.
I mean, listen, everybody at this table, and Kyle as well, to a man, we love the kid, right? I mean, so there's nothing from that perspective that we can say that we don't love about Jamal Adams. This week was a little trying from that perspective, in how he responded to it initially. And I would say initially, listen, be emotional, be who you are, be that person like you are on the field there, and say, you know what, I'm upset that they even listened to calls, but you know what, I'm gonna go and do what I gotta do. I gotta speak to coach. I'm gonna speak to my general manager. I'm gonna get back into what I need to do, and we're gonna focus on the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
That's really all he needed to say. All the extra stuff didn't need to happen. But at the end of the day, even having Jamal Adams, and I don't think he was 100% engaged from the first play. Maybe he was a little distracted from it. I just saw it, in how he was playing, that normally he's flying around the field and he's making plays from the jump, and I didn't think he started that until maybe the second half. But that's just my personal opinion and what I saw out there. But listen, are we the worst team in the NFL? Is that the question that needs to be answered today?
I think there's no question. I think there's no question right now. The way that we've been playing, I think we look like we passed the eye test. We look like the worst team in the NFL right now.
Did Cincinnati win today?
They didn't play.
They didn't play. Oh,
no.
They're on a
bye.
So okay, yes.
So we are
we are
in
the
effect
worst team.
the worst team. We have lost to 0-6 Dolphins team, right?
Yuck.
Right?
That gave away everything and everyone. Ugh.
Right.
And
That is
Ryan
trying-
Fitzpatrick beat us and looked like Aaron Rodgers out
That
there.
is me.
No, he didn't look like Aaron
Every-
Rodgers. He didn't really.
No.
Our cornerbacks look like,
Oh,
like JV.
Yeah.
Like high school JV.
like the 9th grade squad.
Seriously.
Yeah.
They look bad.
At every important position.
Every
We're
skill-
not really that good.
Every skill position.
So
right now.
cornerbacks, we're terrible.
Uh-huh.
Pass rusher, we don't have any,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And anything that's consistent. Left tackle, we don't have one.
No, the whole entire offensive line. We don't
Yeah,
have.
but the
an
key,
O-line.
but left tackle is where you start, right? Because you got a right-handed quarterback, left tackle.
And center. I would argue that
believe
center is just as
argue
important.
center is more important.
I wouldn't say more. I'd say just as.
I would say
But-
more.
Understood. I got you.
Responsible for the calls.
Sure.
Sure. Is cerebral. Has that relationship with your quarterback, who's
Sure.
the most important guy on the team.
Oh, we're going to get to him.
And if you push
Oh,
that
we-
center
we-
back
we're
on
gonna
his
get to
heels,
him.
he's right in the
Right,
quarterback's
and
lap.
that's why I believe the center position is even more important now than the left tackle guard,
All
left
right.
tackle position. Right now.
Number one wide receiver
Is a number two.
Is a number 2A, right?
No, he's just a number two.
Okay.
He's a number two.
All right. And our quarterback
Is
thrown-
regressing.
Right.
Is regressing.
Is regressing. So
Right.
so in his entire career with the New York Jets has thrown 23 touchdowns to 24 interceptions.
Daggone it.
Right. This year 6 and 9. 6 touchdowns, 9 interceptions.
And the 9 interceptions seemed really horrible.
Horrible. Listen, I don't mind you throwing interceptions. I don't have a problem with that. Let's be clear. Let's be clear.
He's thrown 5 red zone interceptions this year, by
That's
the
a
way.
lot.
5 red zone interceptions.
And how many games has he missed? He's missed like 4 games, and he's already thrown 5 red zone interceptions.
Right.
Wow.
That's bad,
It's
Sammy.
It's terrible. It's terrible. And it's not the interceptions. It's how those interceptions look. Terrible duck type of throws. It's you're rushing. Throw the ball away. Make a good decision here, right? Especially in the red zone. To your point, this is an opportunity for us to score points. So you're going to completely change the game, right? Momentum gets changed when you throw a red zone interception. And it's not like I'm trying to fit into a tight window and it gets batted up in the air and somebody else gets the ball, right? I can live with that because you're pushing, you're pressing, and you're trying to make a play. No. Right? You're making a play. You're trying to make a play when nothing is there, and you're throwing a duck. That's easy for the cornerback, safety, linebacker, whatever else in order to pick that ball off. So that's where it's like you look terrible in those interceptions, bro.
And that goal line interception that he threw, it wasn't even just a duck. He barely had a firm grasp on the ball because he was in the grasp of someone. He was about to get sacked. They spun him around, so he's doing like a little twirl, and then he doesn't have a good grip on the ball and just throws it.
Right.
He just throws it.
Right.
Take the sack, bro.
Take the sack.
Take the
man.
sack, take the 3 points, and live to fight
And
another
this is
down.
what I'm talking about. Like, this is kind of what worries me a little bit about Sam Darnold, because when he's on, he's on. But when he gets his cage rattled a little bit, he tries to force the issue and burst out of himself being rattled, but it just makes it worse. If I said that correctly, he's like overcompensating, and then he throws like bad passes. He makes terrible judgment calls. He'll throw, into triple coverage, just trying to like work his way out of whatever situation he may have going on in his head, if he's under duress or whatever. And that's kind of what bothers me. And I think that needs to get coached out of him. And I don't think that we have the coach to coach that out of him.
Is he watching Deshaun Watson every Sunday night or
He
whatever
should be.
else? And he's like, where he made the play, he got kicked in the eye, and he still went out there and threw a touchdown
I know.
pass. So
Yeah.
is he thinking that he has the same skill set in order to be able to make that type of play?
Right.
I don't know, but he's not that guy.
No, he's
So
not.
at this point in time, he needs to just throw the ball away, and instead of turning the ball over, kick that field goal and learn that aspect of the game.
Right.
And he hasn't learned it so far.
And to that point, what I found is, and what I've observed is, with the great quarterbacks, with the better quarterbacks, you know, they have no problem throwing the ball away or throwing the ball at the feet of the offensive lineman to live another day, to go to the next play.
Sure.
They're like, look, this play is just not going to work. Okay, well, I'll just throw it in the ground. You know, I'll give myself another chance next time.
Throw it into the back of the end zone, high above everybody.
He hasn't learned that. He hasn't learned that humility, and I think that's part of it. It's about the humility of, you know, they got me this time, but I'm gonna get you next time. But I'm not gonna throw the ball directly into the hands of the defense. And as a result, turn the ball over. You know what I mean? He's got to learn that. He has to learn that. And to Brandon's point, I'm not sure if this coach is the person to teach him.
Right.
I mean, listen, and we're gonna get to it later, but you know, one of the aspects of Gase and his, you know, maybe it was a turnover or it was we were getting off the field on offense, and I didn't see him talk to any of his offensive players. Slap a hand of an offensive lineman.
Right. He was on a headset.
He's on a headset talking about, shaking his head. I don't know what happened. Talk to me about what happened there. You should be sitting down with Sam Darnold. Like, what are you seeing out there?
Exactly.
What are you seeing? How can I help you? How can we score points on the next drive? Let's look at, you know, the iPad or whatever else and sit down and look at these plays. One of the things I liked about Sean McVeigh, where, you know, he allowed the defensive coordinator to handle the defense, and sometimes he wasn't even watching those plays because he was focused on working with his quarterback in order to get him prepared for the next drive.
Right.
And Greg Williams is the type of defensive coordinator that you can
do that with. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, so I haven't even seen Darnold sit down with the iPad with the offensive coordinator. You know, so
I couldn't even pick the offensive coordinator out of a lineup.
Exactly. And this is what I've been saying from before. Gase needs to focus more on head coaching and leave those offensive coordinator duties to his offensive coordinator, or he needs to have or hire an assistant head coach, because you have certain teams that have an assistant head coach who help manage the actual day-to-day operations of the head coach. They help to manage, and they also help to manage the game flow as well, as far as timeouts and timing and things like that, just so that the offensive-minded defensive head coach or defensive-minded head coach that you have can actually help to instill, or to install or to continue to just coach up those things to their players, so to speak. And I don't know. I think he's juggling too much, and I just don't think he's good enough of a coach to be able to do that. He's not Belichick. Belichick is the coach. They don't have a defensive coordinator over there. His son is actually calling the plays, and his son is a secondary coach, but he's calling the plays. They don't have an official defensive coordinator, and Bill Belichick is the GM. But he's a seasoned winner. He's a seasoned veteran.
Let's bring it down a notch. I mean, you're talking about, the number one, right? The one that you were patting everybody against. I mean, I can't put him there and hold him to that regard, at least at this point.
No, and I'm not. But my overall point, is basically being, keep chopping wood. You're taking on too much. You're not going to become Belichick in a day. And I think he is the standard that everyone should be going for. He's the greatest coach ever. And I think that since you're not there yet, just keep chopping wood. Focus on wins and losses and stuff like that instead of trying to take on so much. And I think he's trying to take on too much.
Well, listen, just focus on Sam Darnold.
Exactly.
If you have one job, I don't care how the offensive line's playing. I mean, obviously you do because that's part of what it is. I don't care how the secondary is playing because they played terrible today, right?
Yep.
I don't care about all of that. But if you can come in here and fix Sam Darnold and put him in a situation where he's not turning the ball over to the degree that he has turned the ball over, then you have done your job. I don't care what the wins and losses are, right? If we can come in through 2019 and say Sam Darnold is the guy because he has thrown up 32 touchdowns and he has 12 interceptions and he has won some games for us and he's lost a couple games for us, but overall he looks like the franchise quarterback that we need, then when you go to shop for the groceries next year in the draft, doesn't it make that so much easier at that point in time, right? Because you know what you have in over here. But if I go in and I have a quarterback that has more interceptions than touchdowns at the end of this season, and this is going into his third season, I don't know what I have in that guy. So now I'm looking at the top of the draft like, do I look at Tua? Do I do what Arizona did? Who I know myself, if I was Arizona, I wouldn't say, man, getting Kyler Murray, who has 9 touchdowns and 5 interceptions right now, and looks like, San Francisco, who was undefeated, right? And they gave a run for their money, right? We didn't win, but you know what? Kyler's the guy. At the end of the game, they were like, you know what? We didn't win the game, but Kyler's the guy. I don't think we can say that to the degree that Arizona can say that. So I don't want to go into 2020
We've only
draft.
said that once, and that was when we beat Dallas.
That's when we
at least
beat
this
Dallas.
year, I mean.
Right, this year.
No, we were saying at the end of last year. The last 6 games.
I was talking about at least this year. I was saying,
This year.
yeah. But yes,
And
I
again,
understand.
who do we play in those games? Right? I mean, now you're talking about opponent, and we were already out of the season was already over at that point in time.
So, Brian, what's your
but we had
assessment of
that-
Sam Darnold then?
But we had that conversation when we talked about what the offensive line was last year and what the offensive line is this year. I feel like the offensive line this year is so much worse than the offensive line that we had last year.
1,000%.
And now I get the fact that we have the same center, but remember at the end of the year, what happened was Harrison took over the center responsibilities, right?
The center couldn't even snap the ball early on in the year.
Right. So,
right?
but what I'm saying is that he sort of stabilized the position, right? So what happened was now, he was put on the bench, and then we brought in another guy and now Jonathan Harrison is again starting. They looked a little bit better than they did last game, right? Our offensive line. They still didn't look great, but I don't think we lost because of what our offensive line didn't do today.
I think so.
Right? You think it was because of the offensive line? I
Not
don't
just
think so.
because, but I think a major part of the loss is because of the offensive line. It's a major, major, major problem. It really is. It's a huge problem. Our offensive line is terrible. I think that just knowing Sam Darnold and some of his weaknesses, he tends to make these throws like these 5 red zone interceptions that he's made when he feels like he's under duress. And with this offensive line, he's constantly under duress.
The interception he threw today was not the offensive line's fault.
Yes, it was.
I don't see that.
The one in the red zone?
Yeah.
The guy was wrapped around him. And he was about to be sacked.
But my point is that he didn't have to make that throw that way.
Exactly. That's decision making. You take it to the ground, you take the sack, and you keep it moving.
He had an opportunity to throw the ball away. That's the point that I'm making.
Well, and the point that I'm making is you think clearer when you have more time and more space to make
I would
proper
agree with
judgments.
that. But that's why I'm making the point that this loss today wasn't, to me, the larger responsibility of the offensive line.
How well did we run today?
We made a commitment to run, and we I think it was like maybe 18.
93 yards that we ran for, and we ran it 21 times.
And that's all together.
Altogether.
So it's not just Bell numbers, it's Powell and where
Mm-hmm.
everybody got it. 21 rushes for 98, 97
That's
yards.
respectable.
not against the Dolphins.
Yes and no. That's respectable.
Yeah.
If you're not looking at who the opponent was,
83 yards, sorry.
That's respectable.
83 yards?
Yeah, so Bell ran
okay.
for an average of 3.9.
Mm.
Bilal Powell ran for an average of 8. And Sam Darnold ran 2 times for an average of 0.5.
I don't think that's good enough. You know, I think a huge factor in us not being a good team is this offensive line. Huge.
It is, but I'm saying today's loss was not that. Today's loss, I think, fell squarely on the shoulders of the defense as well. I don't think the defense was
The D was terrible.
Was terrible.
The cornerbacks were terrible.
Were
the
horrendous.
linebackers, I can't blame Gase or Williams for because we're on our 4th and 5th and 6th string linebackers at this juncture.
Right.
So I can't hold them responsible for that.
Yep.
So part of today's loss, okay, fine. But listen,
I never said it's the only component. I just said it was a major one as far as the O-line's concerned. But go ahead, B.
when you're 1-7, you got to look at every single position.
Right.
And I don't think that Sam Darnold at quarterback is a position that I'm not going to look at as well. And if you're talking about average. He's an average quarterback at this point.
But I'm not
better.
I'm not going to look at it from a first round basis to draft a quarterback with our first round pick.
Same here. Yeah.
Because we have other areas that we can draft that can have an impact on the ability of our quarterback to play better.
And I'm going to say this. I'm not going to, at this point, with 8 games left in the season, going to say that. I'm going to say everybody is under evaluation.
Oh, sure.
Well, I mean, but right now you guys are saying that, we're not going to pick quarterback. We're going to look first round pick. We're not going to look quarterback. We're going to look at everything else except for quarterback. I'm not saying that.
Because that's consistently been our problem. All of the other areas is what I'm saying.
Quarterback has been a problem too.
Right, but we've been talking about offensive line for 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we can't draft an offensive tackle or left tackle. I'm not saying we can't draft a pass rusher. I'm not saying we can't do it as a cornerback. I'm not saying that either. All I'm saying is that I can also say that we can look at quarterback too. That's all I'm saying. And that's the difference between me and everybody else that's sitting at this table.
Absolutely.
Well,
is that
I'll
is
tell
that,
you what the difference is with me and maybe everyone else sitting at the table. Before I look at this quarterback, I want to look at the coaching, because
but
Gase,
that's less of a possibility in terms of a 4-year coach. You're not going to play 3 coaches at the same time.
But I hear you. But
it's not going to happen.
But why is this offensive guru allowing my QB to regress?
I don't disagree with you in terms of the fact that I feel like we should change our head coach. I don't agree with you.
Yeah.
I just think it's unrealistic.
But wait, weren't you the person that said Gase needs to be out of here?
I don't know if it's unrealistic.
I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm saying he absolutely does need to be out of here.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is the reality is that you're not going to pay 3 coaches at the same time. It's not going to happen. That means you're going to be paying Bowles, him, and a new head coach. It's not going to happen.
Listen, I was on the don't fire Gase because of the fact that you're going to have Darnold with 3 different offenses in 3 different years. I don't take that lightly. At this juncture, I say...
But if the offenses aren't working...
No. But listen, I'm with you. I hate watching it. I hate...
The definition of crazy is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
All we do is run in between the tackles. We have the same run play that we run every single time we run the ball.
Totally
right?
agree with you.
So there's nothing creative about it. There's nothing. We hand it to Le'Veon and we let him pick a hole, and that's all we do. And it's always between the tackles. We don't run anything outside. I just don't understand it. I'm dumbfounded at that. That's what it is. So to that point, we have 8 games to evaluate everybody,
including the daggone coaching,
and the coaching, the quarterback, everybody that's out there on the field. And I would say this: you hire Douglas, you let him make that decision, and you let him live or die with that.
And here's the thing:
that's my opinion.
Well, you said live or die with what? What decision? The coach?
Yeah, absolutely.
But the problem is that if an owner who's paying everybody's salary is telling you that we cannot fire this guy because I can't pay 3 people at the same time.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
What I would say to you is the remedy that Brandon brought up which is you need to bring in an offensive coordinator to assist my head coach, and that's where I would focus on.
And what if he says no?
He who?
The coach,
right?
And that's the problem because he's already an offensive-minded guy.
Well, then it'll have to be a meeting of the minds that you're gonna have to leave,
and that's the thing.
It could be a resignation, because as a general manager, you can make that call to say we need to bring in an offensive coordinator.
Well, that's what,
here's the problem,
and that's why I'm agreeing with you, Kerry. Let him make that call. If the structure has been an issue where you have the quarterback and the GM, right. You have the quarterback and the GM reporting directly to the owner. So stop all that nonsense and have Douglas say, you're going to call the shots. You're the football guy. At the end of the day, it's going to be your first draft, free agency, and everything. And at the end of the day, you make the call on the coach. Does he stay? Does he leave? Does he bring in an offensive coordinator? Tell me what he needs to do, and you tell them from there.
And I believe. Last thing I'm gonna say. I believe Douglas was smart in making the choice or demanding that his contract be longer than Gase's, because the issue is, at the end of the day, if you're gonna tell me that we both have the same amount of control, I'm gonna tell you fine. I'm gonna be here longer. So you're going to end up doing what I ask you to do or what I suggest to you if you want this relationship to work. The relationship of the hierarchy being the owner and then the GM and the coach together having equal say makes absolutely no sense.
I absolutely hate that because they report to the owner directly without the other person.
Right.
So that right there is foundational to me. You need to have the GM reporting solo to the owner and reporting to the owner not about the players, not just about the players that he's pulling together, but also the coach and the coaching the coaching staff in general.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to have the power and the autonomy to get rid of this coach or to hire another one, at the drop of a dime if he so feels that way.
Sure.
And now
if it's fiscally possible, too.
Yes.
Again,
I get that, but you know what? That's the problem with our organization. So now we have,
can't make that. You can't
do
have money
that.
get in the way of winning at the end of the day. Right? I mean, if we're talking,
it does.
I mean,
money gets in the way of everything.
It does.
It does, but I mean, it shouldn't.
It shouldn't, but we're dealing in reality here, and we're dealing with a multi-billion-dollar franchise, and money is going to speak a lot louder than we want it to a lot of the times. But my point is, what we need to do, we need to cut our losses now and not have, say, like our franchise quarterback linger. And that's why I'm willing to get rid of Gase as soon as the season's over. Okay, this will be his third year in a third different system. I understand that, but cut your losses now because now he's just floundering. He's just blah, 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 just out there just not being productive. He's actually regressing, and when you regress, your confidence goes down the tubes as well, and now you're going to have to repair that and try to climb out of this hole that you're in. We need to get rid of Gase. We need Douglas to really just take ownership of this team. He comes from a great background over there in Philly under Roseman, who is a great GM over there in Philly, and he's come from the Baltimore tree to the Philly tree. That's a great tree to come from. I want to see him execute his game plan now and see if he can really just be this GM that we were hoping that he could be considering his background. And he started as a grunt, as a scout. So he knows how to go about chopping that wood and working hard each and every day and grinding. And plus he's an old lineman too, so he knows about all that whole thing. I mean, man.
To me, it's about what you can do and what you realistically can do.
Yes.
Yeah, he can fire. He can have the.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think he can because the head coach reports to the owner.
He can suggest to the owner that we go out and look for another head coach.
And the head coach can suggest that about the GM
right,
too.
But the GM hasn't been able to make any moves that can be evaluated to the extent that would leave you without a team.
Sure.
Right?
That is true. Not yet, but next year he potentially
has a body
can.
of work. The head coach has a body of work. Now, it might only be 8 games, but he still has a body of work.
That body of work stinks.
Oh, absolutely.
And 1-7.
But again,
can't say it's great.
I'm more about what realistically will be done as opposed to what I want done. I don't think we should have hired the guy from the beginning.
Me too.
But that's unrealistic to have an expectation that. I should say it's also unrealistic to have that expectation that this ownership is going to fire a guy based on his first year here. When you have another head coach on the payroll. How often does that happen?
I don't think it's unrealistic.
Let's look at it from the standpoint of history. How often has there been first-year head coaches where there's also a prior head coach that's on the payroll having hired a third head coach?
I don't know. I don't have that information.
I would venture to tell you that it doesn't
Hit up
happen.
Wikipedia.
Right.
I don't know.
I would venture to say
I don't know.
it don't
Go ahead.
happen. It don't happen.
So can we say that about Steve Wilkes, who was the
Sure.
1-year head coach of the Cardinals last year? Was there another coach before that were still on the books? Because I don't know. Like, I've never looked that up.
Prior,
because Steve
who's
Wilkes,
the head coach prior to Wilkes? Who's with Tampa Bay now?
Yeah, that dude.
He wasn't fired.
It's not about fired.
He decided to leave.
Okay.
But I mean, he wasn't under contract. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
No.
Like, I'm genuinely asking because
He wasn't under contract.
I don't know.
I
But
mean,
whatever. Like,
And if I'm looking
billionaire.
here correctly, so I'm looking at online here, Jets extended contracts of Bowles and McCagnon. It says that Bowles' deal will expire at the end of the 2018 season. So I mean, unless I'm seeing something else that's out there, whatever else, it looks like that we extended him, and it's done. So we wouldn't be paying him next year. We wouldn't paying him money next year.
They extended him at the end of the 18 season.
This was at the end of the 2017 season.
And they extended him 2 years.
Yeah. So end of 19, done. That's it. So we fired him like a year early.
I thought it was 19 and 20.
You done know.
You done know.
Lot of mercy.
I mean,
It
with
was
that,
2 years.
so I mean, this is the report is from December 29th of 2017 that we extended it, and it says that Bowles' deal was set to expire at the end of 2018.
So that means
was set to expire.
Right. So that means they extended him 2 years.
So it was the end of 17, so that means the end of 18, end of 19. So the end of this year.
I thought it was the end of 20.
I don't.
The 2-year extension.
2 years. 2 years from the end of the 2017 season. So
Okay.
you got end of 2018, right? That was the end of one. So end of 29. So you're overlapping 1 year. So that means next year we're not going to be paying Bowles.
By the way, shout out to Al Sobel, a.k.a. Out Al Knight. He's getting involved in our conversation. He says he loves the way that I'm channeling the inner Greg Schiano with Keep Chopping Wood.
And shout out to Al because he said we were going to lose to the Dolphins. Actually,
He did, right?
He did say we were going to lose to the Dolphins, and we were like, no way, dude, we're not going to lose to the Dolphins. And look what the heck just happened.
If we lost to the Dolphins, look at. You know what? He's going to take your name, the Guru,
Sure.
and then this guy's going to be the podcast guru. Out Al Knight and make all of these predictions.
It is what it is, man. That was a good prediction there.
Yeah.
So we lost to the Dolphins, bro. I mean,
I know.
that's really terrible. It's really
Hey, Out Al Knight, who's talented but selfish? Who are you referring to? You got to throw names out there. Is he talking about the coach or is he talking about
definitely not the coach.
Is he talking about me?
Might be.
All right, so fellas, let's move on real quick.
Yeah.
So, we kind of delved into everything like in like little sprinkles and stuff, but let's focus on this. How have the Jets been affected by the recent passing of the NFL trade deadline? We know that the Big Cat was sent to the Giants.
That's right.
And what do we get him for? A third and a fifth, I believe.
Conditional could be a fourth.
Could be a fourth if they not renegotiate, but if they
Re-sign him.
extend his contract,
Yeah.
or sign him,
Yeah.
or give him an extension, whatever. So, I love the Big Cat.
I liked him. I didn't love him. But go ahead.
I just liked his vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like I loved his vibe.
You love his hair because you can't duplicate
Yeah,
it. Is
true
what it
that.
is?
Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm dying to walk around with a pick in my hair. I haven't been able to do that in a long time, man.
Maybe in your beard, bro. If you grow it long
I
enough.
could grow it out and do it in the beard,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
It's not the same vibe.
No, it's not the same vibe.
Okay,
you know
gotcha.
what I mean?
Gotcha.
So, but the Big Cat, but like I was saying, I love the guy. I love his vibe. But honestly, I'm glad he's gone. I kind of wish we got a second for him, but I'll take the third and the conditional fifth.
You know what? I'm not glad that he's gone, but he's gone nonetheless. And the reason I'm not glad that he's gone is because we spent a number 1 pick on him.
Yes.
Number
yes.
number 6, right?
Number 6.
Number 6. And you're supposed to have a generational talent when you pick number 6 in the draft, and we didn't get that from that draft pick.
Yeah.
And thus, I wasn't happy that he was gone. Yeah, we got a third and potentially a fourth. And
just from
whatever.
that sense, I'm happy just to get something back because we knew that we weren't going to sign him again. And he was playing, under par for his draft position.
We could have cut him and got a third. We could have not re-signed him and got a third, right? At the end of the
We
day.
got a fourth, too. It's a fifth now, but they're going to sign him. It'll be a fourth.
I mean,
Yeah.
again,
we need assets. We need draft assets.
Yeah.
This is what it is. I mean, it could be something that we wrote that we turn into
Starting
a package
center.
or something else with another high pick. You know what I mean?
We're talking about plan B and C. That's all I'm saying. Plan A is to have a drafted guy that's
Absolutely.
going to be here that you want to
Yeah.
re-sign. The fact that we didn't even want to re-sign him is a failure.
Absolutely.
from a New York Jets perspective,
Yes.
and that's all I'm
Agreed.
saying.
But that
Agreed.
said, we got what we could get for him. I mean, what did Dante Fowler go for when they traded?
He was picked number 3, Dante Fowler,
Right,
and I forget what they got
a
for
3.
him.
They got like a 3 and a 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And he's not playing bad over there now either. You know, but
So
you know,
it is
listen,
what it is. You got to cut your losses.
you got to cut
gotta
your
get
losses.
something.
And like I said, B, like I love the guy. I really did. He underperformed. And it was as far as us as a franchise, it was another failure for the New York Jets.
Sure.
And then in a long line of failures, I'm about to list them.
Oh,
You've got the big cat in no particular order. You got D. Milliner. You've got Sheldon Richardson. You've got Quentin Coples. You've got Mo Wilkerson. Well, I'm not going to call Mo because he was here for an extended period of time, but he fell off at the end.
Just a disappointment.
yeah,
not a failure,
not a
but a
failure.
disappointment
But
at the end.
Exactly. I said Quentin Coples already. What's that guy? Wilson, that cornerback. Kyle Wilson, first-round cornerback, supposed to be good.
Sheesh.
Failure.
From Alabama, the corner from Alabama.
D. Milliner, failure. And also the guy from Ohio State, the defensive end, one of the worst draft picks of all time. He got like 7 sacks in one game, and that like shot him up in value, and he's terrible. Didn't last long in the league at all. I forget his name. But, you know, these are like, and not even just first-round draft picks, but like kind of high-end first-round draft picks. And I don't know. I don't know about these Jets. I just don't know.
It begins and ends with ownership.
Yeah, it does.
And like I was saying to Brian off air, you know, I'm stricken with franchises that I root for whose ownership is just terrible. The Mets ownership has been horrendous. The Knicks ownership at times has been horrendous in terms of who they bring in as GM and coaches.
Yep.
So, you know, I understand it, but I also understand, you know, how they're hamstrung. When I say they, I'm talking about the individuals who are, you know, employed by the franchise.
Mhm.
And, you know, again, it starts and ends with ownership. And, you know, if you have an owner like Bob Kraft, who's smart in terms of who they bring in to run your franchise, then you can just sit back and watch things occur. You know, the Jets are not that franchise.
No.
They've made poor choices.
Yeah, historically as well.
I mean, you know, listen, Leonard Williams was picked 6. Kevin White, wide receiver for the Chicago Bears, was picked 7.
Bust.
Vic Beasley
Well,
was
yeah.
picked 8. I mean, you
You may or
would
may not be on the Atlanta Falcons.
moving forward, but
Moving
he had a
forward.
pretty good career prior to
So
that.
I
right?
would have taken him. You know, if you redraft. Yes.
I read redraft. Eric Flowers, New York Giants.
Bust.
Not good.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley, number 10.
He's still starting now.
Todd Gurley, number 10, up until the knee issues last year. You know,
You
would
can't
have-
help that.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, but talented. Right,
Yes,
obviously.
absolutely.
Number 10. Trey Waynes, cornerback, I believe. Minnesota from Michigan State. I don't know.
I haven't heard much about him at all.
And who was drafted before him?
So before him, you got Jameis Winston, number 1. I mean, you know, who knows? Marcus Mariota, number 2.
Bust.
Right. Dante Fowler, number 3.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, who was traded?
Amari Cooper, number
Okay,
4.
well, you know, right.
Traded, but
Right.
you'd re-sign him right now if
Right.
you're the Jets.
But
You sign for
Fowler,
him.
again, what did they get for Fowler? And that's what I'm saying.
I think a 3 and a
in
5
the same
for him.
draft. That's what I'm saying.
I
So,
think. Don't quote me, but I think it was a 3 and a 5 for him as well.
And Brandon Scherf, the offensive tackle
lineman,
for the Redskins. It's not a really great draft at the top here. I mean, you know, you got Melvin Gordon, 15. You got Devontae Parker, 14. Danny Shelton, 12, who's already been, you know, traded from the
He's in
Cleveland
New
Browns.
England right now.
Yeah. Marcus Peters, 18.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not a lot of good things at the top of this draft. here.
Marcus Peters? Oh, at the top of the draft.
I'm
right.
just saying the top. You know, Marcus Peters was 18.
Right.
You know, so and he had a good career, but right now you take him or leave him.
I would still take him.
I mean, well, that's based on what we have,
Right.
right? I mean,
Right.
the Rams traded for him and then already traded him away.
He
within
makes big
18
plays
months.
and he gives up big plays.
He does.
And he's got a mouth on him, too, which is kind of funny, but still.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at, man. I don't know what the right thing was. We felt great picking number 6 and getting Leonard Williams because at the top of the draft he fell to us and all of that kind of good stuff. But he's not with us anymore.
Nope.
From that perspective, he's with the Giants, and we have the Giants next week.
Yep, we do.
And I'd be surprised if we didn't lose.
Oh,
Going away.
Danny Dimes is going to light us up. He's going to light us up.
And if he's lighting us up, bro, how does he look compared to what we have as a quarterback?
Well,
right
more
now?
importantly, how does his head coach look? And if there was no other job that he has was to develop the quarterback, because that's what their head coach was.
I mean,
known
Giants
for.
fans don't like their head coach. Let's be clear.
I don't think I
But they
wouldn't
like their
debate that.
QB.
I wouldn't debate that. But my point is that he has developed the quarterback.
Has he, or has the quarterback just been the right pick all along? Well,
That's
right?
That's subjective
All
argument.
right, well,
So-
this is what we're
so
here
he
to
should-
do, right?
Well,
To
my
be
point is
subjective.
that he should get just as much as the praise for developing a quarterback. Then now you're gonna say, well, was he just naturally gifted? Everybody else was like, oh, this guy, you drafted this guy this high? Are you out of your mind? What are you doing?
Right.
They're called pundits for a reason.
Right, but my point is that he has done what he was supposed to do. Right,
Ooh.
and what he's done so far, what he is supposed to do, he is
You
developing.
talking about the coach?
Talking about the coach. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's not a detriment to his growth. I'll put it to you that way. Let's just say that Danny Dimes is doing his thing and he's doing this on his own. Coaching, bad coaching can be a detriment to someone's growth. And I see this guy growing, and he's having the normal rookie ups and downs, but his ups are way up, man. Throwing for like 335 and 4 touchdowns and all that.
to a receiving core that is not highly heralded.
Not that great.
Yeah.
And he didn't have his running back for a
Yes.
portion of
Several games.
his all-star running back.
Who has
For a portion of it.
looked like he's regressed a bit in terms of handling the rock and picking up blitzes.
But
So-
you know what, though?
I take him.
Yeah, I would take him.
Oh, sure.
But here's the thing. His O-line is better. His
Yeah.
O-line
Yeah.
this O-line is the best O-line that the Giants have had in the past 3 years. Okay? And Eli, who, of course, getting older and was regressing and everything, but Eli had to suffer through a horrific O-line for the past, 2 years. Last year it got a little bit better. And then now this year they actually have a halfway decent O-line with the moves that they've made.
They put
So-
some time into it,
Yeah, they
and
put
some money and some draft capital.
Exactly, and that's what I'm talking about. So,
and they traded away their receiver to get an offensive lineman too.
yeah, and they got rid of Eric Flowers,
Mm.
who ended up being a bum, and I think Eric Flowers is somewhere else, and I don't think he's playing tackle anymore. I think he's playing guard, and he's playing better at guard. So you have to figure things out as a coach. So, our coach isn't figuring these things out, and it's his first year. So let me be fair, because like I said, 3 years, it took the Giants about 3 years to kind of get it right on their offensive line, just to get that stability there so that their rookie quarterback can perform. But I think it's the O-line. I think it's also the system, like what you guys were talking about. Brian was saying that he hasn't seen a run outside of the tackle box yet. We haven't seen any tosses, any kind of RPOs, run pass options. Because we do have a quarterback that is athletic and could probably get that done as well.
Can't get him outside of the pocket.
I know.
They did a run pass option.
Singular.
Yeah,
We've
it
done
was.
8 games. They averaged like
It was
60-something
today. It
plays
was
a
today.
game.
That was the one that Robbie Anderson was called an offensive pass interference. When he was 1 yard, again, I think it was a bad call. Clearly, he was, at the point of contact, and he was 1 yard off the ball, where you can block.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was a bad call, but it was a run RPO. It was an RPO.
But
the time.
the fact that you can pick that one play out,
I'm just saying.
you know what I mean,
I was watching
kind
intensely. I
of
was
proves
like,
our point.
because it surprised me when it happened.
Oh my
That's
God, an
why.
RPO!
Right,
Oh my
right.
goodness,
Ooh. I was like,
it's
wow, he
Christmas.
He didn't even look comfortable doing it. It was like,
Oh my
Get him
God, I don't know
comfortable.
how to
Coach
do
that
it.
daggone kid up. Gee whiz. And you know what I don't like just in general? Maybe
What?
I'm just old school.
Talk to me.
I don't see any lead blockers in there. Everything has to be like this zone type of thing. Like
They don't have a lead blocker on the roster. What they were using was.
you have Wesco.
Do we have Wesco?
Yeah, Wesco's there.
He's out there. I mean, he's part. I don't know if he's
He's
active.
probably either inactive or just doing special teams. But
What they were doing for a moment was, I think they had an offensive lineman lead blocking
Probably so.
for a few games.
Listen, pull a guard, pull a tackle, pull your center. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get him on the edge. Do something that looks
Move the
creative. Like,
pocket.
oh my
Move the
gosh.
pocket.
we used to see Mango pulling all the time. You
Yeah.
remember? I mean, really active guys moving
We
around.
ain't
I don't.
got no mango.
Get some
I know.
misdirection,
Got
yo.
no man.
Get some misdirection going. Like we need something else that's out there. That's just not handing the ball off to the guy,
Right.
putting him in his belly, and letting him
There's
pick
no
a
play
spot
action.
and then
There's no
go.
play action at all.
It's like, how about we do like, I'm gonna go old school, like student body left or student body right. You
But
know,
this was the conversation
counter
we
trades.
were having. Right. This is the conversation we were having prior to the Cowboy game, where I was saying, we don't see Ty Montgomery on the field. We
Yeah.
don't see Bilal Powell on the field. Now they're clearly playing more often. It's just like I said, there's not as much creativity that I'd like to see
Sure.
on the offensive side of the ball.
Sure.
especially with a running back like Le'Veon Bell, who is like the king of misdirection. He cuts so hard. He just has people just standing still when he cuts. If we had some more misdirection type of plays or counters or toss sweeps and stuff that would allow him to kind of,
Get him in space.
get him in some space,
So what
man.
is happening is the kind of the running back
Do the
that he
cha-cha.
is that he waits.
Something.
What he waits is for the play to develop. The problem is that the play's not developing because there's no holes that are materializing.
Exactly, because the line keeps getting pushed back and they're
Right.
always on their
Right,
heels.
Right.
I can't really say that
The
today.
first few running plays,
Mhm.
maybe the first probably 3 series, I felt like he was getting some space. They were getting yards in chunks, 4 yards, 5 yards. He was, but I think they just went away from it after the second half of the second quarter, and then after that, it was just we're behind, we stink, we're gonna have to throw it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
lost this game on both sides of the ball. So it wasn't just the offense, although we're talking
Mhm.
about it a lot. Defensively, we have no cornerbacks to speak of that can stop
Zero.
any play.
And at the end of the day, Donald only had 1 interception. When I say that's fun, that's crazy. He only had 1 interception, but he had 1 interception today.
How many times was he sacked today? Do we have that info?
I don't know.
I can look it up.
All right, cool.
But sure, 1 interception. But he had 1 touchdown, and he should have had 2 touchdowns minimum in the game.
One was called back.
Yeah, and then immediately afterwards, he threw an interception. Red
Right.
zone.
Right. So again,
In the midst of
was,
getting sacked.
and that to me, how they not allow that as a touchdown makes no sense to me. But
Same here. I was like, are you
and it was a good throw. It's a pretty throw.
too much? Feels like big government. Too much. It's like controlling everything. It's like relax.
So
let him play football.
had he would have thrown at it that touchdown, and that touchdown would have counted, we might have had a different outcome. We might have had a different opinion about how he played.
Can't stand these Jets. No,
I mean, let's be real
No,
about it.
no,
Let's
he
be
was
real
sucking
about
his
it.
teeth. I was laughing at him sucking his teeth.
Oh.
I was laughing at
that's
yeah.
all the Jets make me do. I can't
Funny.
stand them.
But
Like
let's
I
be
love
real
them so
about it. How
much, I
many
hate them.
yards did he throw for? 260,
Yeah,
right? So that could have been 262 touchdowns, no interceptions.
3 sacks today.
You got
There we go.
sacked 3 times.
That's serviceable.
Yeah,
That's
so-
serviceable. I mean, 3 sacks, you'll take that.
I'll take that. But like I said, had he not thrown that interception and then that touchdown counted, we would have had a very different conversation.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
Even if it wasn't still a loss.
Right. It would have been, yeah. We just would have had to swallow a tough loss. It would have been a somewhat different conversation. Listen, I still like and believe in Sam Darnold. I just don't think he's being coached the right way. I don't think that the system in place is good for the offense, thus not good for the quarterback to be able to succeed in. And I just don't like the type of offense he's put together. And I just don't believe in our offensive system. Thus, I don't believe in our head coach at all.
But what
Like,
I
I'm
what
done
I would
with him.
say to that, and I'm still a Darnold fan, is that he's got to stop this cowboy attitude
Yes.
of trying to make plays when there aren't any.
Now, is it cowboy attitude?
That's a cowboy
Is he
attitude.
consciously trying to be a cowboy, like I'm going to win this, or is his mental a little fragile? And this is what I'm just trying to suss out here: is his mental this fragile, like oh, let me just throw it, or is it like oh, I'm in trouble, let me just try and go for it?
Or is he watching Deshaun Watson?
Guns blazing.
Or is he watching Deshaun Watson on Sunday night or Monday night and saying, you know what, I could have made that play too. So I should have, so
Right.
let me fight until the very end of the play and then just throw it up there. Now New England game.
Is he
was
watching
like,
Deshaun Watson or is he watching Nathan the Peterman? That's the question. Peterman.
You know what? Stop it.
You don't know Peter.
Just cut it out.
I know
Terrible
the
quarterback.
guy.
Yeah,
He's very horrible.
He said he's very horrible.
And that joke
Not,
was very horrible
not
too.
yeah, not
It's
somebody
horrendous.
you want to model
No,
yourself against.
no.
That's what I'm
Because
saying.
the
Who's he watching?
interceptions that I've seen that the bad interceptions that I've seen are him trying to do more than he's capable of
Doing
at
too
this
much.
stage in his life.
Doing too much.
And I think some of the best quarterbacks couldn't have made some of the throws that he was trying to do.
Yeah.
So my point is that, but some of the best quarterbacks, what they do is say, you know what, I got I'll fight tomorrow or the next play, and I'll throw it away, and then I'll get you next time.
So
His mentality isn't that. It hasn't been that from what we've been seeing.
to the point. Check it out. So if you're going like this and you're throwing the ball like this, that's really not a good play, right? You should never try to behind your back try to throw the ball like this.
When was that? You mean
So what's the mental
That was
status?
almost today.
What's the mental status of someone that's throwing the ball that way? Is he flustered or is he trying to be a cowboy?
Well, he was getting hit at the time. He was
I
getting
think
hit at the time.
I think he's trying to be a cowboy, bro. I mean, I think he's trying to make a play. I don't think the flustered piece. I don't think that Sam Darnold is well, except for New England.
That's what I'm.
New England was fluster
Yes.
all day. You're throwing it to ghosts, right?
Right.
All day. But the other plays that I'm talking about, it's more like you're trying to make a play when there's none there.
Right.
Just throw the ball away. Just throw the ball
Right.
away.
I'm still trying to use my powers of discernment to see if
You have powers?
I do.
You
You see
think
that
you
right
know you
there?
do.
You feel that?
No.
About to go with those Superman heat beams, wee, right through the camera lens, show my powers.
Protect your neck.
But he said protect. All right.
Hold on to your babies.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Listen, we've spoken a lot, and now it's time to just, jump right into Tweak Me, Peak Me. That's where we basically, talk about what we like and what energizes us, and then what brings down our energy and what we ultimately dislike. So, B, cue up that music.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right, guys and girls. This is the Tweak Me, Peak Me segment. All righty. We just witnessed another loss by the Jets, and we lost to the worst team in the National Football League.
Oh,
gosh.
we are the worst now.
Yes, we are the worst now. So, you know what? I'll go first since the camera's already on me. I'm going to go with what tweaks me first. And the thing that tweaks me, I think, overall, it's Adam Gase and his offensive and head coaching philosophy. I think he's a detriment to this franchise. I'm over Adam Gase now. I think Adam Gase, he's not a cancer, but I just feel like he's not a good coach. I don't think that he's a quarterback guru. People want to say he was the offensive coordinator in Denver when Peyton Manning set the record for like 55 touchdowns and this and that. But you have to remember Peyton Manning was already a Hall of Famer before he got there. To be with Gase and then and got to Denver. And also, Peyton Manning has been used to calling his own plays throughout his entire career. So what is Adam Gase bringing to the table? So, I don't think Adam Gase calls a good game. I don't think Adam Gase is necessarily a good sideline coach, especially what do you have, those 3 timeouts at the end of the game that he basically wasted. And and I don't like his offensive philosophy. So when you add all of those things together, this coach tweaks me. I kind of actually feel bad for the guy. I think he's trying, but I just don't think he's that good. I think he needs to go back and be an offensive coordinator and develop that skill, so that he can maybe become a highly touted offensive coordinator and then maybe a few years down the line become a head coach again. I don't think he's ready. I don't think that he's good. And I want him gone at the end of the season. And, yeah, I'm saying it. And I also understand that it'll be Sam Darnold's third coach, potentially third offensive system in 3 years, but it's time to cut our losses. So Adam Gase, he tweaks me so much, I want him gone. And then now what piques me is my Baldwin Bruins. Baldwin Bruins, and Kerry can attest to this, and so can Brian. They actually went to the game of Baldwin versus Westbury at home, and the Bruins ended their regular season with a win against Westbury. And as a result, we claimed the 8th seed in the playoffs. So we are now in the playoffs. We will be battling Freeport, the Battle of Brookside, okay? And this rivalry goes all the way back to even before when we were playing back in the day, generations before that. So if you don't know, Baldwin High School and Freeport High School, they both run on the same street, which is Brookside. So all you have to do is just drive maybe a mile and a half down the road to get from one school to the other.
Yeah, not even.
Not even, and that's Brookside Avenue. And so we used to call it the Battle of Brookside. So Freeport is a Long Island powerhouse, so we have
New York State powerhouse.
New York State powerhouse, yeah, exactly. So we have our work cut out for us, but still, good luck to the Bruins, and I'm glad you guys won and made the playoffs. So that is what piques me, and shout out to Aaron Taylor, my co-host Kerry Taylor's son, who's a senior this year, number 8, wide receiver, returner, and cornerback on the club, and had a good year this year.
Absolutely. So. Absolutely. They Aaron was able to have some touchdown saving tackles to preserve the shutout at the end of the game. So shout out to him.
He could smile in the pick though.
He never smiles. I don't know what that's about.
Gee whiz.
Now it's like that sultry look. Like,
he does it.
For some reason, I'm like, what is that about? But hey, it is what it is. It's what it is.
Like he's wearing good cologne or something. That kind of a look, right?
Right.
Like he's Dolce down or something.
So what piques me is the fact that, and I know it's just I shouldn't be talking about this, is that we're gonna have a high draft pick. And I'm hoping that Douglas will be all that his reputation precedes him in terms of him being a shrewd negotiator. And hopefully we'll have a top 5 pick that we can utilize to draft an offensive lineman.
Because we're done with this whole 6, picking at 6 and having it not work out, right?
I'm tired of mediocrity. Give me an offensive lineman. Give me a stud center or something of that ilk that we could utilize as a weapon to protect our franchise quarterback, who I still love, Sam Darnold, who has still a lot to learn. But what tweaks me is the fact that now teams are going to be looking at us as an automatic win on the calendar. And
they should.
And they should. Whereas these same teams, we're looking at them as automatic wins, like Miami and Jacksonville and Miami again.
And the Giants.
And we got to play Miami again, by the way. So, that's a problem. Now, we play the Giants next week.
Oh, that tweaks me.
That tweaks me because now it's the Battle of New York.
Yeah.
And, my New York Giant friends, I'm going to get all sorts of wry smiles from.
Yeah.
So, and look, I understand it. But again, next week is a new day. We'll see what they come back with in terms of maybe making some adjustments at the quarterback position, playing better, knowing when to hold them and knowing when to fold them. And he hasn't learned how to fold them yet. But he's young, and I'm still optimistic about where he can take this team with the proper coaching and the proper offense.
Copy that. I hear you. What do you got to say, B? What's going on with that puss on your face?
I mean, the puss, for several reasons. But I'm gonna say what piques me. So first thing, Star Wars, The Last Jedi.
Oh wow!
That definitely that piques me right
now.
Wow, I'm ready.
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi.
Yeah, but what did you see?
The Rise of Skywalker.
The Rise of Skywalker.
That's what it is.
Yeah, the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Sorry.
But did you
My
see?
bad.
Did you
What are
see
you
when the
talking
first?
about,
You're right. Did you see when the trailer came out for that? The extended trailer came out for that while we were getting spanked by the New England Patriots.
Yeah, exactly. That was awesome.
That was a debut trailer.
I
really?
needed to be.
You needed a lift up.
I need to be piqued by something during that game. It
The
was
Star Wars thing actually
terrible.
tweaks me, but I don't want
It
to steal
does?
your
What?
thunder.
Why? Talk about it.
All right, just briefly. Here's what bothers me about the whole Star Wars thing now that Disney took it over. They are not. We established the whole Luke Skywalker thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to find out about Luke. I want to be Luke. I want to this and that. I want to see. The last time we saw Luke in what is it called? Return of the Jedi. He becomes a Jedi Knight. He develops his power through the training of Yoda, and then training on his own, this and that.
Then he gets depressed.
And then it's like there's a huge gap of time. This last Star Wars movie, we don't get to see him as Grandmaster, because he becomes Grandmaster in the canon, by the way, and becomes the most powerful. George Lucas even said it himself, the most powerful Jedi in the history of Jedidom.
Okay.
And we never get to see it. And the last time we see Luke in this last movie, we see him using the Force to project a hologram of himself in battle and then passes out. What the heck are you passing out like that for and dying? You know what I'm saying? I want to see your power. Like, what's going on with this? What are they doing over there at Disney?
Maybe they'll explain it in the last movie.
Well, or maybe not. And they're giving Rey all this power. She didn't, train on the Millennium Falcon with that little robot. Remember when he got shocked on that?
Funny. The dude has been living in a trailer park for like 20,000 years.
But
I mean, so he's a little depressed right now.
I get it.
I mean,
but
at
at
least
least
what it is.
But he went through training.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing, what's her name? Rey?
Yeah.
Rey just like developing force powers out of nowhere because she's related to someone.
Because she's the greatest.
She
She's
better
the
not be the greatest.
greatest.
Luke is the greatest.
The greatest.
And Princess Leia, all of a sudden now, she gets blown into space and then goes like this and then floats back in. How did she develop her force powers?
Because she has the force powers. It's hereditary.
How come everybody else can No, the potential is there.
Right.
You have the, what do they call them, metachlorines that show you like how much force you potentially have, but all these other powerful dudes, Anakin had to train up. Luke had to train up.
Did you read all on these books, bro? Because I mean,
I've
it's scary how much you know.
I read some of the books
and stuff. And
yeah, I've read. Well, me and my son, we used to read up on.
Yeah.
And follow the canon a little
bit.
And you know what? He's like over it too.
Yeah,
he's over it too. How old is he?
This sounds like Liam's feedback.
How old is he?
No, not really.
He's not old enough to be over it.
Liam's gonna be 13 in December.
He's not old enough to be over it.
You know.
He's not old enough to be
anyway, man, stop trying to hijack. You know,
I told you. I said I don't want to steal your thunder.
Yeah. No, I don't like your thunder now. I thought I knew you was going, but I don't like it now.
He said the metachlorine.
The rise of the metachlorines. All right. So what? I got a couple more peaks.
Yeah, hurry up.
So whatever. So Chase Young, Ohio State. Possible edge. Or what did you call it? Egger? Egger?
Is that what happened?
Egger. We're just gonna say Edgar. From now on. Yeah, Edgar. All right, so Chase Young. Listen, I saw him the other day. It's a shame that we were at game 8 and I'm already thinking about the draft and kind of scouting players, but it kind of is what it is.
By the way, I'm sorry, B, but they're saying that he's even way better than
No, don't even say it.
Oh yeah?
They're saying that Chase Young is way better than
Don't say
Bosa. Yeah.
Don't say it.
Both of them, actually.
Better than the combination of two Bosas and a partridge in a pear tree.
They said it, not me.
So Chase Young. All right, RJ Barrett, 17.7, 6.5, and 3.3.
Love it.
You know what I mean? So I'll take that.
That's New York Knicks for you guys that don't know RJ Barrett.
That's right. But you know what tweaks me right now?
What's that?
Between the Knicks soon to be 1-6 because I just looked at what they're putting up right now against the Kings, and the Jets at 1-7, right? 2-13 between the two of them.
Yeah.
So, that's terrible. That's why I'm wearing the Yankees right now. You know what I'm saying? I got to wear something
There you go.
that
Word.
represents winning at this point in time, because 2-13 between those two teams is just it's just miserable.
That's
right
why
now.
you're wearing the Yankees. Can Kerry wear the Yankees? Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I didn't mean to cut
He's wearing
you
Morehouse.
like that.
What was their record?
Thank goodness, Morehouse.
Wait,
Morehouse
last
got a
year?
good record, huh?
I don't know.
But that's what and my last tweak is the Leonard Williams. I'm gonna call that out there, because it's nice to get these third and potential fourth round draft picks, but that really means at the end of the day, for somebody that we drafted number 6 in the draft, that we failed at drafting somebody that we should have really drafted. That should have been a generational talent, somebody that we wanted to give a second or third or fourth contract to, and we weren't able to because he didn't live up to the contract at the end of the day.
And don't get us wrong here at BKBK, because I think all of us really like and respect Leonard Williams.
Respect Big Cat.
Oh,
It's just that we wish it worked out.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, okay, I'm glad we got a third and a conditional fifth, which could be a fourth if they extend his contract.
They're talking about extending him before Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
Listen, all the many precious is like, I was the bridesmaid, but never the bride. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't actually get the sacks at the end of the day. Should have got the sacks, and then we would have signed you up, bro.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we want to get pressure from the front four, so that you don't have to go in and blitz and all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, we had to throw a lot of bodies at that, in order to get the pressure. So that was me.
I got you. All right. Hey, listen, guys and girls, thanks for watching another episode of the BKBK podcast. We want to be able to keep bringing you the latest news and viewpoints of where sports and the culture collide and the New York Jets reign supreme. So keep watching. You can find us on Facebook on our BKBK podcast fan page, Twitter on @BKBK podcast, Instagram @BKBK podcast, as well as on YouTube. Just type in BKBK podcast, hit the like and subscribe button to show the love. And if you can't watch us, you can listen to us on iTunes. So go to BKBK podcast on Podomatic.com. That's it. Let's go Jets. Let's go Jets, right? Let's go Jets.
Let's
go.
go.
Let's go. Let's go. All right. I'm not going to get gee whiz. Let's go Jets, please. All right.
Woo.
All right.
Por favor.
Por favor. I'm going to do the incorrect spelling. Let's go Bolden Bruins. Let's go Knicks. All righty. And let's go Team BKBK. Woo.
That's right, baby. Let's go.